Good afternoon and welcome to our memorial service and pew dedication for our lovely Miss Iris Wiemer, who we are celebrating her life today. So at this time, we're going to have her opening song and then a sweet video that was recorded about a year ago.
Wiemer from Milden Hall in Suffolk. Thing I suppose with Milden Hall has been a big part of my life since I started, really. And then I had a friend, my brother lived at Newmarket, one of them, and I had a friend that I knew that was living in Milden Hall, so I came and stayed a few times with her. And then she said, why don't you come? But I didn't know what to do at that time, but I did decide after another year. And I came then because I'd come home then for a while. And I started working with her for a little while at one of the places. And then I put an application form in. One of the chiefs said that they had applications now for full-time jobs that I really needed at that time. So that's how I ended up my last part of my life back at Milden Hall. And I worked at the lodging. I worked for the services squadron. I worked in, I think, nearly almost every building on this side of the base. And I worked for the base chapel for 12 to 15 years full-time and did it mostly on my own. I had little help now and again, but I mostly did it on my own and met the most wonderful chaplains and people and friends. And even our little chaplain, Dondi E, Costin, that was a big part of my life. The day he walked in the building, he was only 30 years old and he was a chaplain. And he came and we got friends and talking, and then he wanted me to help one of his friends, which I did because he's a lawyer from Lakenheath, and he was trying to do some preaching in the little place over for the Baptist, made a Baptist little church in Kenny Hill Way, and so he asked me could I help him, and I said yes, I'd go and help him to clean it and make it look nice for him, which I did for 2 weeks supposedly, but I ended up being there for 21 years with him on a Saturday morning. And he came to help me sometimes, but not much. But I did it. And then my brother helped me when he came with me to live. So I've met lots and lots of wonderful people at Milden Hall. And when I worked for the services with the housekeeping in 1982, we had the first family unit TLF built, the building 104, which is now, I think, the one where they can take the little animals now before they go home with them. And they had a big inspection coming, and it was called the Innkeeper's Award. They sent a group of people here to check all of our works and things, and I had 32 people working on my team at that time. And they had to select people which I didn't know what they were doing at the time. But anyway, after they were here for the time when they looked around everywhere, they were checking the large bases, the smaller bases, and they came to Milden Hall as a large base, and I was one of the leaders, the supervisor. Well, I was actually made up to the assistant manager, and they selected me for the Innkeeper's Award for Europe. I was the only person, as they said. I have the paper still, the Marauder paper, where it was advertised in, and it went, even the Stars and Stripes, someone said it was in, from our base, because we won the award for the base, being the best base. But I have so many wonderful friends here, and still keep in touch with several of them that still write to me, and the commanders have been wonderful and helpful with lots of things on the bases with peoples. And there's still a wonderful chapel that we have now with wonderful chaplains and their families, and they're so kind to everybody, and I love coming to the chapel as much as I can Sundays and be with all of them and all the little children and things. But thank you all for watching, and I hope I haven't been too long for you, but I love all of you and everybody here. And I have one daughter that's in America. She's married and lives in Virginia. And I've got a daughter here and a son and 15 grandchildren altogether. So anyway, God bless all of you. Keep you all safe and Just love each other and stay all together always, all of us. God bless you all, and thank you for listening to me.
Yes, Miss Iris, we love you too. So I want to welcome you all to a celebration of Miss Iris's life. She has touched so many more, and for those of us watching online, thank you for tuning in and being with us today as we celebrate Miss Iris. Our wonderful wing commander, Colonel Jacobus, wanted to be here, but something came up on his schedule, as happens for our leadership. But he sends his regards and wants you to know that he loves you and sends his regards to you as well. At this time, we are going to move on to the final resting place clip. So it's a small montage of her last funeral, only funeral, yes. Although James says that we may get a call because she is buried with her phone and it was fully charged, is what he said. That's what he said, so you might get a call. But look, we'll have our video montage.
We give thanks to our Almighty God for the life, the love, the joy and laughter that Iris brought to so many.
Her first birthday with Jesus in person. And I imagine if she somehow, in true Miss Iris fashion, arranged for Elvis to come sing her a rendition of Happy Birthday. We all know that she loved Elvis, and I don't think that any of us can top that kind of birthday gift. Miss Iris Wiemer was simply like no other. If you knew her, she knew your name, she knew your story, she welcomed you, she valued you, she complimented you, she shared with you, she invited you over for tea. Miss Iris rests now in eternal peace, forever and ever and ever. Amen.
The relationships Mom made over the years have been incredible. There have been many hundreds over 40 plus years Mum worked on a local base, many of whom she stayed in regular contact with, usually by telephone. Mum was a prolific user of the telephone, I'm sure you all know that. She actually has a telephone with her, and Adrian confirms to me it is actually charged. So there is a possibility. So when you lose your mom, whatever age you are, you do lose your source of unconditional love and your comfort blanket. Mom had her own comfort blanket, which was the church and her faith that she would go to heaven. And that's why we're all here today, to celebrate Mom's, Miss Iris, Iris's exceptional life, the things she achieved in life, and the relationship she formed. Mom would always blow a kiss, and when she said goodbye, give you a big hug, so you had to get out the hug first, but I'd like us all to blow a big kiss to Iris if you say our final farewell today. If we can do that together, that would be nice.
The Lord is full of compassion and mercy, slow to anger, and of great goodness. As a father is tender towards those that fear him, for he knows of what we are made. He remembers we are but dust. Our days are like the grass. We flourish like a flower in the field. When the wind goes over it, it is gone.
Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head
with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever. Amen.
So something that was super special at her funeral was that, arranged by no one, the Lord, but there was a flyover at the most appropriate time. And we talk, the family and I talked and really said if Miss Iris would have been at her funeral, she would have had such a good time. So many friends, so much love, so much joy. Just the laughter that she brought to, and joy that she brought to everyone was very special to us all. At this time, we're going to invite the Wiemer family up for reflection, and James is going to come forward. Followed by that, anyone who has something that they'd like to share, please come forward. The family has time to do what they need to do, but we're going to ask that all others take 2 minutes or less, please.
Jamie's just coming up as well. I'm just waiting for Jamie to arrive.
Believing you're the favourite. Don't come.
I might mention it again. The spiritual meaning of an iris is faith, hope, wisdom, trust, and courage, making it a great flower to have around the house, including this house, God's house. Our Iris, Miss Iris, loved coming here. An iris also symbolizes valor, which is strength of mind or spirit that enables a person to encounter danger with firmness of personal bravery, great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. Iris couldn't have fought any harder in the battle she had to survive and be here with all of us still. It was an epic battle, which she lost just as she was winning. And Iris has also been known to mean nobility and has long been associated with royalty throughout history. Our Iris, I believe, should have been made a dame for her contributions to Anglo-American relations, apart from with our dad, maybe. But anyway, and also the work she did with the Joe Mann Special Sports Day over 40 years, helping to organising and participating in it. I think Mum attended all of them. It's too late for us to do anything else now, apart from we can today celebrate Mum's life through our stories and experiences today that we share. So Mum loved to come here with everyone. The base chapel, as we know, she called Building 4, she called it 474. And I'd like to just share a brief history, not the whole story that I told at the funeral, but a brief history of Mum's life and how she ended up here in Mildenhall and spent 45 years of her life working on Mildenhall base and being part of the base community with all of the people here and your families and the many people that came before you that were also here. So Iris, Miss Iris and Mum, was born on 25th of April 1929 in a small terraced house in Cambridge. Mum was the youngest of 5 children. Her mother Bessie raised them on her own as she lost her husband George early in life. So Mum was a war child. She was 10 when the Second World War started and 16 when it finished. Mum's school life in her early teenage years was disrupted by the war, and Mum left school at the age of only 14. She was a war child, so Mum learnt how to be a fighter in life instead of having an academic education. And this helped her to deal with all of the many issues she had to face in her life, Mom's early career involved various jobs, from working in a factory to working as an usher in the Rex Cinema in Cambridge. It's around that time that Mom met, or her connection with Mildenhall Air Force Base started. She met a young US airman called Jim Wiemer, our dad, who was in England as part of a small team who were tasked with opening this base, Mildenhall, in July 1950. Shortly afterwards, they moved to the USA and married. This was a huge step for Mom's life, in Mom's life, and a very brave thing for her to do. Iris required faith in my dad and their relationship, hope for the future, the wisdom to make the decision, trust in her instincts, and the courage to make the move, demonstrating all the qualities of an Iris. Well, she is an Iris, so. Mom travelled by ship to the USA, the Queen Mary, as she was always terrified of flying. Mom and Dad had 3 children, Jamie, Joy, and Jimmy. She calls me. I'm not going to mention the favourite thing, because we all know it. there's just no... Oh, yeah, I have Iris on my shirt.
He's really working hard.
We had to adapt to the environment as part of an Air Force family. We moved regularly, as anyone else in the services today knows how it is. You change schools, change friends, change locations. It's part of your education as well as part of your life. But Mum was always homesick and made regular trips back to England. In 1969, Mum and Dad divorced, and Dad stayed in Ohio. We all moved back to England, initially to the house in Eastcote near London, where Mum and Dad had bought it when we were stationed here before. But in 1977, Mum re-established her connection with Mildenhall and purchased 15 homes in Green Gardens, where she lived right until the end of her life, the rest of her life. Mum got her first job on Lakenheath, and shortly afterwards, Mildenhall in 1977. Mum worked hard at the job. She loved it from the beginning, being involved in the community on the base. Mum needed to work for a living, but really it was the people she met and the relationships that she made that was the main benefit to her. There have been many hundreds over the 40 plus years Mum's worked on the Mildenhall base, many of whom she stayed in regular contact with, usually by telephone. Mum, as we discussed, was a prolific user of the telephone, and I did say, in fact, she does still have it with her now. Nothing would surprise me. Mum worked on the Mildenhall base until she was 88, 89. Even then, she retired reluctantly. It wasn't easy. After retiring, Mum retained her ID card so she could have access to the base and mainly to attend the chapel and the services in 474, which is what Mum called the teddy bear that Chaplain Ray and Jamel gave her while she was in hospital. Mum continued to attend services on the base and St John's Church, where she now resides, right up until the end of her life. Larry from the chapel religiously took Mum to the base chapel most weekends. In recent times, Chaplain Ray and Jamel were a great source of comfort and support to Mum, particularly through her illness and in time she spent in hospital, along with the base commander, Jacobus, and his wife Heather, who also supported Mum and visited her while she was in hospital. And Mum also had great support from her neighbours, Malcolm and Kathy and Fran, who are here today, who couldn't have done any more to help and support Mum. There have been many more people who've helped, many of them who were here from the chapel, helping her do lots of things, and some big, some small. It's something that made Mum's life special. And she was blessed with the very best quality of life and friendships. So everyone has played a big part, particularly the community on the base, I think, in making Mum's life special and rewarding. And so our whole family would like to thank everyone for what you've all done. And we know how much Iris enjoyed coming here, and her seat is still at the back there, I see. Are we able to share a few stories as well? What I call Iris stories, so if you can bear it. I have another list here. There's a few. The first one is for me, again, it relates to the phone. When Mum was in hospital, she would phone me regularly at 2 or 3 in the morning. I think she had nothing else to do and lost time of what it was. So at one stage, I had to ask the nurses if they could retrieve the phone from Mum to stop her calling me. The next day I found out they had actually given it back to her. Instead of phoning me, Mum had actually phoned the police and asked if they could come and collect her and move her from the hospital. She was being held against her will. Amazingly, the police actually showed up. Mum had the award we've mentioned previously, the Innkeeper's Award, where she had to travel to Florida. I took her to Heathrow Airport, and there were two people traveling with her boss and a representative from the military. When we arrived at Heathrow Airport at the check-in desk, we found that the two colleagues had left on an earlier flight, not the one they were intended to be on with Mum, who she was not very happy about. She made such a fuss that she got upgraded to first class, had champagne all the way over on the flight. Meanwhile, the two colleagues, their plane got rerouted, they got delayed and were late arriving, so Iris found great pleasure in that. She did tell the story at her retirement function. This is a story that as I was studying, taking my last exam, I was still living at home. I was cramming studying because I hadn't done enough work as usual, and had the last law exam the next day. At about 2:30 in the morning, Mum arrived at the house with about 30 people who had been to the base, the NCO club, and proceeded to play loud music, having a party. I came downstairs thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to stop the racket, to discover that actually it wasn't just my record player playing, it was the Four Tops who were in the room at the back of the house, which is converted into a bar, and they were singing. So I gave up and had a Bacardi and Coke and stayed with them. I still passed the exam somehow, I don't know how, but and the last stories relate to Mum and her famous bike, or bikes. Mum was always very active and loved riding a bike rather than driving a car, so I did take her to Toys R Us one day and bought her a bike and a helmet and some other things. And for about 30 years, Mum rode her bike on the base. She was very happy when she got the bike and behaved like a child for a while. I'm told that she famously, which I hadn't realised, Jamie told me that Mum used to fall off her bike regularly, usually whilst on her walkie-talkie.
Always, yeah.
And people used to listen to, on their lunch breaks, listen to her talking on the walkie-talkie for entertainment. So, and then the last story is the bike story, where there was again shared by Jamie as we came in, a TDY team from, is it Dias?
Yeah.
We were there at Mildenhall for three months. Iris was at the time the supervisor of the Billington section. They wanted to buy her a bike, and a surprise of her how well she looked after them. So what they actually did is outside of the building, just over here at building 450, they put Iris's old bike using ladders and support team on top of the lamppost. So when Mum came back, and it was that's the building where you had to clock in and out at the time. So Mum thought her bike had been stolen, and what they actually did was bought her a new bike. So it was a good story. Mum actually rode off on the new bike and shortly afterwards fell off. But anyway, that's my stories for now, but thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And he really was the favourite.
Everybody knows this.
No, we know you're the favourite.
So this was Jamie's chance to get James back. James always says that he's the favorite sibling or favorite, son. You didn't get him. Would you like to get him?
Well, you weren't actually.
I'll take it.
They seem to have to wear irises on his shirt and everything.
Yeah, he's showing off.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up for anyone, maybe from our local parish, that would like to come and have words. Yes.
This tribute is on behalf of St John's Church, Beck Row, which Iris used to attend. It has been written by one of our church members, Mary Rolfe, who unfortunately, due to ill health, couldn't attend. Tribute to Iris. St John's Church was blessed to have Iris join their numbers. Her enthusiasm and willingness to support was an encouragement to young and old alike. From a life lived in many different locations and situations, Iris always had wisdom to impart, usually with a smile and a twinkle in her eyes. It was during the annual reunion of the Mildenhall Register that Iris came into her own. Iris was really able to relate to those who had served at RAF Mildenhall or the neighbouring stations as she shared memories with surviving veterans and their partners. It is fitting that Iris leaves happy memories in so many people's hearts as she implanted those memories during happy and sometimes sad times. Thank you, Iris, and God bless.
Kathy, my wife, and I had the privilege of being neighbours to Iris for the past 16 years, and we had some great times. Iris certainly was one for using the telephone, and she would often ring us up at all sorts of hours. But she had a real heart of gold, and we would. We'd help her out and go and get some errands for her and keep an eye on her. But I'm sure it was actually her keeping an eye on us, really. And whenever we went away, she would insist that actually she was going to make sure that the house was perfectly okay, and that the cat was taken care of, and she was very diligent in that. And she was very, very active and took a great pride in her garden, and we shared some different plants, and I think for us it was a real privilege, actually. Neighbours can be, sometimes you can't choose your neighbours, can you? And sometimes you get good neighbours, and sometimes you don't. And we've travelled a lot in the military, and been in all sorts of different locations. But we were overjoyed, actually, to find that we had such a good neighbour. And I remember when we arrived that the right-hand fence, which actually we're responsible for, half of it was missing. And so I said, okay, right, we'll put it right. And so I went to buy this fence, and she said, no, she said, you should make sure that the people that were there before you pay for it. And but of course, we didn't go down that route. And her brother lived with her at the time, Gerald, and he used to call me his boy. I mean, he was in his 80s, and yet when it came to putting a fence post in, he was there digging out the hole for the fence post. And so we've got some very happy memories, and we'll certainly miss Iris. But I was delighted to see that the gnome is still there. She had mixed feelings about this gnome. It often got hidden away, but it's got repainted, and it's pride of place in the front of the house for now. Thank you.
How you doing? You guys all know me, only a couple people do, but I'm Anthony Quells. So my wife didn't want to come up here because she's not really dressed up either, but we're very thankful for Miss Iris, you guys sharing her with us. I know that she was a member here, but super nice to us all the time. The first time we came, she was like ready to pinch our cheeks already, 40-year-old man, she's trying to pinch my cheeks. But, loved children, loved everybody that walked through the door. And hearing all the stories, I can literally see her personality in that. And, something hopefully that we can bless others with. I know there's not, tons and tons of people here, but I would say this, if all the people that, have been touched by her were here, would be the whole parking lot, the whole building, every nook and cranny, everywhere. I know lots of people want to be here, but I just want to, that's a great memory that you guys shared with us, and I appreciate it. And our memories are amazing with her too, how nice she was and how she enjoyed her tea as well. We used to bring her tea sometimes in the morning. She'd always say, "Oh, bless you, thank you for your tea." And I assume she probably had 7 or 8 cups before she even came, because she was already ready to go, But yeah, I just wanted to share it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all for sharing. It does do all of our hearts well to hear the stories. It just reminds us of how amazing and how loving she was. So thank you for sharing. At this time, we are going to have, you heard her mention, Chaplain Dondi Costin, who is Chaplain Major General U.S. Air Force retired, and he is Dr. Costin, president now of Charleston Southern University. And we reached out to him because we know that she loved him so much and they had such a great relationship. And he sent in a short video. So we're going to have that now.
I'm Dondi Costin. I spent 2 glorious years at RAF Mildenhall with my wife, Vicki. And we loved everything about Mildenhall. But one of the things we loved the most was hanging out with Miss Iris. Iris, as all of you know, she may be the kindest person I've ever met, the hardest working person I've ever met. The kind of person that you never forget, and who never forgets you. And I waited until after a commencement ceremony here on the campus of Charleston Southern University, because I wanted to be wearing this, because a commencement is a graduation. And I know that in this service that you're having there at RAF Mildenhall, you are celebrating Iris's graduation to heaven. She has commenced, she's had her own commencement, because now she's sees Jesus face to face every day. And I can't wait for the day when Iris is there to welcome me and Vicki to heaven, just like she welcomed us with open arms at Mildenhall. And so my life, Vicki's life has been changed because we were associated with Iris, and we wish we could be there today. But I do know this: absent from the body, present with the Lord. God bless you, Iris. We love you.
Thank you, Chaplain retired Costin, our former Chief of Chaplains. Amazing tribute. At this time, we are now moving into the pew dedication. We know that Miss Iris sat right back there on that last pew every Sunday that she possibly physically was able. She was there in that seat. So we want to dedicate that seat to her, and you can see some of her awards and pictures and all sorts of things. You are free to view all of them and just enjoy those things back there. So if you could the family will go first to join us back where the pew dedication will be, and then the rest of us will surround, or you can just maybe about facing your seat so you can see. So family, if you would move toward that area.
Okay, so we have all of her. She was in the local newspaper. She's received so many different awards and plaques and coins and so many things just to kind of, there's even Jamie has a driver's license. It's like old school driver's license, like a little passport, right? It's just some really cool memorabilia back here for you to view, so please take your time and view that. But we did not dedicate we did dedicate the entire pew, but we did not put the plaque in the middle. Because we all know if Miss Iris thought that people were not gonna sit there because the plaque was there, she would be sad. So we just, I'll have you unveil, James. Would you do the honors of unveiling? Yes. And it reads, in loving memory of Miss Iris Wiemer, April 25th, 1929 through April 2nd, 2023. Such glorious light could never be dimmed. The light of your love shall always and forever shine bright in our hearts. And we have underneath there Psalm 23, which is one of her favorite psalms. In addition, Miss Iris brought to service a couple of, maybe 6 months ago, a pillow. She just wanted a pillow back here. She said if anybody was uncomfortable and wanted to stick it behind their back or anything, or wanted a baby to cuddle the baby, put it on there. So we left it here. That's her pillow. But this is reserved for Miss Iris, and this will forever be her pew. So we wanted to honor her in that way. So thank you for sharing with us. So when we get through with the family having their words, we are going to move into tea and biscuits, if you would like, a little tea and biscuit social. But this is our pew dedication for our beloved Miss Iris Wiemer. With that being said, in addition to Psalm 23, she loved the Lord's Prayer. So James and I will recite as she would love. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. That's how Miss Iris used to pray. Like, that's legit how she prayed that prayer, so we wanted to honor her in that way. All right, thank you. Can we give an applause for this lovely event and for you all being here? Thank you to the family. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for joining us online. That concludes the ceremony. Please join us for tea and biscuits. Enjoy. God bless. And feel free to come have a look at all the lovely awards.
There must be lights burning brighter somewhere. Got to be birds flying higher in a sky more blue. If I can dream of a better land where all my brothers walk hand in hand, tell me why. Oh, why can't my dream come true? Oh, why? There must be peace and understanding sometime. Strong winds of promise that will blow away the doubt and fear. If I can dream of a warmer sun where hope keeps shining on